Lou, you tell me that this is the time of year that insects are going to be laying eggs.
Well, yes, the temperatures are dropping and daylight hours are diminishing here in the Highlands. So there is a bit of not a rush on, but there is something to consider that is coming our way, and that is winter. And winter, as we know in the Highlands, can be really quite cold. So with insects, they're enjoying the middle of the day when it's warm. But to think about the next generation, they're going to have some kind of strategy to make sure that they're going to make it through that cold winter. And I've been watching, and I think you've been watching, butterflies laying their eggs on larval food plants, haven't you?
I've been hearing about it more than seeing it. I'd like to be seeing it more in my garden.
Have you got you've got a lemon tree?
No.
Well, get a lemon tree, because if you get a lemon tree, you can watch that butterfly that only as a citrus butterfly that lays her eggs on citrus trees.
So I'm going to interrupt you and ask, if I wanted to put in natives, if I put in the native finger lime, would that work?
Well, I've got a finger lime, and I have seen them growing in the Highlands, in people's gardens.
But I could see a buttercup.
If I was a citrus butterfly, I would think it was a pretty poor kind of a location.
I've got to go with the exotic lemon.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, please continue.
Okay, all right. So those butterflies are actually laying eggs. If you watch them, they go round and round your lemon tree, and she lays one egg. Mm-hmm. And then she flies around a bit more and she lays one egg and one egg and one egg. Not all insects lay their eggs one by one. Some lay them in clusters. And some insects don't actually need to lay eggs at all for winter. They can just crawl into hollows or logs as adults, and they can remain inactive through the winter months. And they undergo a sort of metabolic slowdown, which we call diapause. It's when the animal is still alive but is not feeding, it's just living quietly.
You're right. I remember that the common brown butterfly, the female, does that through the winter and waits to lay her eggs.
Hangs in there, but nothing's much going on. They're just ticking on. And some of the large wasps, they can just shelter in eaves and attics of houses and in barns. And then there are the mayflies and the dragonflies, the stoneflies, and those nymphs, not the adults, but the nymphs, they can stay underwater and feeding all winter, even with ice on the top.
Wow, yeah.
So it's not necessary for every insect to lay eggs. And the bees, of course, they can stay in a hive, and the ants can stay in their nests, and they can overwinter that way, and they form clusters. The honeybees, actually, they do a thing with their wings. The wing muscles flap so that they can raise the heat. It keeps them more active inside the hive.
Oh.
They've also got stored honey during the winter, which makes them possible for them to continue to be semi-active. So one way and another, the honeybees can actually produce both fertilized and unfertilized eggs during winter.
Oh, right.
There are a few insects that actually give birth to live young.
Oh, tell me about that.
Aphids. They are famously known for giving birth to live young. And cockroaches do have egg cases. I'm sure we've all seen the egg cases, or the Uthaka, as it's known, sticking out the back of a cockroach. You have seen that, haven't you?
I don't.
Oh no!
I don't know that I have. It's possible that I haven't looked at them.
You've not
quite
lived
that
in
intimately.
Sydney, have you?
No, I am not from Sydney.
If you lived in Sydney, you would have seen these egg cases sticking out the back of a cockroach. It's not a pretty sight.
No.
And a lot of them do drop that egg case. But in some cases, they actually retain it in the abdomen until the very moment when it's going to hatch.
Oh, Oh, right.
So it's not an absolute given. Insects have so much diversity in the way they do everything. But the cockroach usually leaves an egg case. And sometimes beetles keep eggs inside and give birth to live larvae.
Oh, wow.
Not all, but most lay eggs, but some beetles do. So for those who must lay eggs, and then they must, of course, protect them, they come in all shapes, colours and sizes. And if you look at them under microscopes, or you look at them online, which is easier, you will see that some of them are really weird and wonderful. Bright colours, fancy kind of shapes, star shapes, and all sorts of different things. So some insects, like termites, just drop their eggs. They just
Onto
drop
the soil.
Nah, they just drop them.
Wherever.
Right. Yeah. But most have to be protected from dehydrating and also from predators, of course. So most stick them to leaves or drop them into the forest floor or lay them in water, or some of them, rather disgustingly, lay their eggs in other insects.
Right.
We have talked about some of those habits. And the parasitic wasp, it's called ichneumon. They actually have a huge ovipositor, a thing out the back, and it's twice the size of their body. And they can actually drill down into wood and deposit the eggs into the soil. So that's quite common, actually, to lay eggs in soil. And lacewings, the eggs are like little necklaces. Very often of a beam of wood or something, you'll see a necklace. Or other species of lacewings, they have a long spike, a white thread, really, not a spike. And then just at the end, they've got this little white egg.
Yes, that
and
I've
they're all
seen.
lined up together.
Yeah, beautifully. Apparently so that they're harder for the ants to access.
Ah, yes. Well, this is interesting because ants have a big role to play in insects' eggs. But I want to talk about the praying mantis. Have you ever seen that egg case?
Yes.
It's weird. It's like
It
a
is
Chinese lantern. It's
unusual.
oval-shaped and it's sort of papery. 25 mils high and a baby 10, 12 mils wide. And it's papery and pale yellow.
Light. Yes.
And it feels really light.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? And
It's an amazing thing.
and it just hangs off a stalk of anything. Quite remarkable. And you've probably seen spittle bugs spit. You've seen spit on leaves, sometimes grass stalks and things, haven't you? Spit.
No.
It just looks like you spat on it.
No, I can't say I've seen that.
Well, it's very common. Very common. And that, again, it's a froth. It's produced by a sap-sucking insect. They're called frog hoppers. And they use the froth to shield them from predators and also to keep them hydrated.
Oh, right.
Because, of course, eggs will dry out if they're just stuck out on a stalk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think that'll do us for now.
I could go on.
I'm getting that impression.